Hello everyone, it's Sunday, June 7th, 2015. I'm making this video, well, because I feel moved by the Spirit to do it, so it's the only way I can explain it. There's been a lot of strange stuff that's been happening to me lately. A lot of dreams and visions, I guess you would say. Well, I know you would say, but some wouldn't say. Anyways, it's been happening since about, I would say, end of March or the middle of March of 2014, and this is just introductory, and I'll explain everything as I go through it. It was probably about that time that I was in school to become a machinist for a while there, and while that happened, I started to feel really lonely. I don't know how to explain it. It was almost like the entire world was kind of crying out to me in a way. I don't know how to explain it today because it seems so long ago, but I just felt like praying that day, and I don't ever pray. I don't pray that often before, and it just seemed like the only thing to do. And I prayed on that day for knowledge and wisdom, basically. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm simplifying it because it was kind of a personal prayer. A lot more to it than that, but anyways. After that, nothing happened for about, I would say, maybe a week or so. And then I was listening to the TV in the background and kind of relaxing one day. And I just kind of got this idea in my head. It was like a 1 with a 3 over the top of it. I don't know why it made any sense at the time or why it made sense, but it just kind of sparked an idea in my head, and I just kind of started rolling with it from there. I don't know how to explain it. It gave me this idea that there was something missing. It was not spiritual, but scientific. It was like there was this something was telling me something. I don't know how else to explain it. To be perfectly honest, at first I was thinking that this is so weird, because as I started to do research, by research I do mean just kind of taking a knowledge that's already out there and then seeing it in a different perspective, I guess you would say. It's like looking at the universe in a whole different way. And I've never done that before. I'm not an educated person at all. I have no idea about these things, to be perfectly honest. Some of it's confusing to me because of the way it was presented. I won't go into great detail about that, but I'm not going to hide it any longer, that information that was given to me. Because, on that day, after that, I just started, it was probably about maybe a few days of doing research and just kind of working it over in my mind, and then I decided to write out a paper just to get it all cleared out and kind of sort through it all, because it was like a bunch of information just swirling in my head that I knew connected somehow, but I couldn't see it in my mind at the time. And then I just started to write it out. And the game was just talking about gravity and just kind of the effects gravity has on different things. And it went in a whole different way after that, because I realized in order to explain that, I would have to explain the whole universe in a whole new way, in a whole new perspective, in a whole new outlook. So that's what I kind of did. I started to just write out the paper and explain how it's broken to pieces, how it's, not pieces, but how it's divided up, I guess you could say. Just, it's very hard to explain it in words briefly, but basically I started with just explaining how the different powers of the universe works, the different laws, and got to gravity, and it was almost like I wasn't even writing that, and I felt ashamed at the end of it, in a way, to even claim it as my own work. Like, I put my name in the title, but it was like, I don't know where this came from, but it didn't come from me. And I got to writing all of it, and it got down to gravity, and then light, and its effect, and time, and space, and the effects that has on everything, and just this energy that seems to be well, flowing throughout the universe, and it's not that hard to see once you gain perspective on it. It's almost like it's hidden but not hidden. It's like the wind. You see its effects. You see what it does. You see the different things, and instead of calling it that power, we've been calling it the effects. Different powers, such as gravity, I don't believe is an actual power into itself. Under this theory, it would be more or less an effect of two different colliding forces, I guess you would say. Would go into the dark energy, I guess you'd call it today. That's one thing that the paper explained to me, was this was dark energy, or dark matter. It's basically the same thing, from what I understand. Anyways, moving on from that, that was fine and all. You know, it was pretty amazing, really, to explore that and really have a lot of answers that I never had before, and it made so much sense, like more sense than anything else that's made before. It was like a simplified version of everything, and you know, life and death, and why things happen to us, and how the human body works, and just different things that, you know, is being, I don't know, done to us in a certain way, and how these are affecting us as humanity. And that's kind of what I went on to see. And you know, from that, I was like, okay, this isn't from me, but who's it from? And I was sitting there and I was looking at the title, and my name was down. I just thought, that doesn't seem right. It just doesn't seem right. I can't take credit. I can't do that. It would seem wrong. And it was like I heard a voice down below me, almost like right about here, that said Jesus. Jesus, what is that? And then it just made sense to me, and I started to look at other things and how this power worked. And it was like I was looking at this, I guess you would call it the after effects of a supernova. And it was almost like at one point in time I saw an eye behind it all, and it was like I just knew for a fact that God was staring at me and I was staring right back at him, and it was like a moment of silence. And then it was just like I couldn't believe it at first. It was like how I kind of didn't have anything to say at that point in time. And then I started to just, it was almost like a swirl of information was just poured on me, and I saw like a whole bunch of crazy stuff, like stuff that was happening now and stuff that was happening in the future. I didn't see it clearly. It was like it whizzed by my head, and almost like before my vision and into me, and then I saw a whole universe expand out in front of me, and I saw swirling light, and just kind of a golden chair with a golden figure kind of set himself in the middle of the whole universe and stretch out his legs to the earth in a way, because that was how far away from the center of the universe we were. And he basically, I didn't have anything to say after that. I just kind of hit my knees and begged for forgiveness, I guess you'd say. And then it was like, you know, I started to cry. I'll admit that. I'm not afraid to admit that. You know. I cried for probably like an hour because I felt so terrible about, you know, different things that had happened, different things I'd done. Nothing really bad, but it was just that moment, and you see what you really are in a way, like that part of you that you don't want, that sinful part. And then I felt just love in me, and like almost like a warm feeling, and I looked up and there was a light, and it kind of just said to me that your sins are forgiven forever. And it was like it was speaking directly to me, and I just knew that somehow that had a lot of significance, and I knew that there was somehow I'd been chosen for something, and I didn't know what. It didn't, you know, it was like that information was there, but it came by in a whiz, and it's like getting massive amount of information put into your head, and then you know it's there, but you don't know where to find it or even what to even look for, you know? Like, so I spent like about 2 or 3 weeks just sorting through information in my head and kind of going over everything and just having things explained to me in such a unique way. And I plan on making videos about each and every one of those, because really to explain it in one video wouldn't really do it justice. And then yeah, but that's the beginning of it all. That's the only thing I can say. That's the beginning of it all, because then it was like I was there with the Lord and he was speaking to me and I was speaking right back, and it was very unnerving. I didn't enjoy it at first, to be honest with you. To think that someone's, God's right there watching you and everything you do, talking to you continuously. Not really talking, there's no words. It was more like a song, I would have to say, in picture form. Almost like, that's why it's hard to explain it, because most of it was like I would see it in my mind rather than ever hear the words. And when I heard words, it was a singing, not a speaking. And that was the difference. It was important later on, because yeah, we'll see. I'll talk about that later on, but basically, yep. I'm going to go ahead and end the video here and start on a new subject soon. I think I'll go into, I don't know what I'll do.